between those two. I went to India a
Oh, I
couple of
see.
times. That was then a place where it was sort of other things that were sort of shocking to
Yeah.
me, which was around um, yes, poverty. You see poverty in India, but also urbanization and pollution. And that was also something that was just sort of wild to see for the first time. Me coming from, again, middle America, rural Michigan, where everything is very spread out and nothing is densely populated. I mean, New York was shocking to me the first time I went when I was 16, right? So imagine, 19-year-old Caroline in New Delhi,
Yeah.
and Old Delhi, taking a tour of Old Delhi on bicycle. That was
Wow.
incredible. That was one of the most memorable experiences, I think. I totally recommend it if anyone listening has a chance to visit New Delhi and take a biking tour of Old Delhi. It's really cool. And then so I did that. That was with some programs with the embassy in the
Mhm.
U.S. embassy in India. We were there for a couple of weeks to do a program around the Model United Nations, which is something I was involved in
Oh, nice.
college. Yeah, and then when I was in my junior year at college, I got involved in a research project with my biology department at Alma College, and that was my first trip to Ecuador.
I see.
I
Okay.
went to the Amazon actually to
Hmm.
do a continuous study that the department was doing on medicinal plants.
I see.
And that was seeing a whole other reality, which I really loved. It was an incredible place to be. And I shed tears when I had to leave. I didn't want to
Okay.
leave. And I just really loved Ecuador. And then I spent some time in Quito and really liked it and wanted to come back. I hadn't learned Spanish very well while I was in Ecuador the first time because I was living in a community that spoke mainly Quechua and I
Okay.
didn't know any Quechua. I
Okay.
learned
Okay.
some words and phrases, but didn't learn not a whole lot that to learn in 3 months. And so, but I really liked Quito and I really liked Ecuador, and I had friends there. And so then, when I graduated from college, I bought a one-way ticket and moved back,
Right.
and have
Right.
been here ever since.
And you've also been involved with I think the girls. I think in Quito, right? I recall reading about an organization that you were part of, where
Yeah, so I've been involved in a couple of different organizations here. I actually started out volunteering for a Christian mission uh,
right.
organization. Um, didn't work out so well.
Okay.
I'm not particularly religious anymore as I was in my youth, and there was some conflict there. I'm still very close with some of the people at that organization and
Hmm.
have a lot of respect for it. But um, that's one of the potentially misconceptions about volunteering and giving, is that every experience is going to be magical and every
Yeah.
experience is going to be your ideal experience and you're just going to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
warm, fuzzy memories about it. Not the case. You might get into,
Manifestation of giving, right? Where
yeah, you might get into where you're giving to
yeah,
something that you just really don't like.
exactly.
And so that was the case there, that I didn't have a fantastic experience, but I met really wonderful people. And then I started doing some work with Asylum Access, which is a global nonprofit for refugee rights
I
in
see.
the global south. And that was really incredible. I got to sort of combine some of the experience that I had doing
Hmm.
immigrant right advocacy in the US with knowledge and being in Ecuador. At that time, Ecuador had the most refugees
Yeah.
of any country in the Latin American region.
Yeah.
The landscape has changed now with things in Central America and developments in Venezuela, and now Colombia is the country in the region with the most refugees,
Hmm.
but Ecuador still is home to many refugees. And I started off as an intern in their
Hmm.
communications department, and
I see.
then I had given myself 6 months to find a
Yeah.
job
Okay.
when I moved. And so I went to Quito and was there for 6 months, and I thought, well, I really do want to do human rights advocacy, but maybe I'll have to just kind of give that up for a couple of years just to find a job.
I see.
And the first job I got was at a human rights organization. So
Nice.
I was really, really lucky to get that. I also have to say that there's a lot of privilege built into the fact that you can give yourself 6 months to find a job.
Oh
Most
yeah.
people out of
Were you on a
college
Were you
don't
on a
have
grant?
that.
Were you on a grant when you went there, or you?
Yeah, so I was working in the office. I was a volunteer intern, so I was working partially with the Global Communications Department doing some social media work,
I see.
and then I was also doing reception and events for refugees in
I
the
see.
city. So it was both. It was sort of I was working for the headquarters, but I was also working on the ground with the lawyers who were doing that work and seeing it firsthand. And then my first job was being an assistant to the leadership of the Latin American regional office. So
Wow.
that was cool, and we were working on things like policy advocacy and strategic litigation and providing legal services, free legal services to
Right.
refugees. But I was also in the office where refugees were being attended to,
I see. So
having
you're
meetings with their
looking at this
lawyers.
happening face to face.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
with them. You're kind of listening to
yep.
what they're going through.
Yeah, and listening to all of the different accents
Right.
from
Right. Right.
around the world. Latin America has so many different accents in or Spanish speaking Latin America has so many different accents. That's why my accent in Spanish sounds really weird to most people because it's like a little bit Colombian, but it's also kind
Right.
of Cuban, but it's also very Ecuadorian and it's just kind of a mess.
Is that, I guess, it's because of the mix of folks there. Like you pick
Totally.
up different
Yeah, yeah.
accents.
And sort of inevitably, that's one of the beautiful things about working in refugee rights is that you get to meet people from all over the world, not just as clients, but the people who tend to work in that field also tend to be immigrants themselves and so or refugees themselves. And so, I worked with people from Colombia and Ecuador and Spain and Mexico and just all over, and
Right.
that was really fun. That was a really
And,
cool
and,
place.
and